What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Artisan Knives Satyr. I'm not 100% sure how you pronounce it, but this thing is just an absolute beauty of a knife. I am very, very happy with it. Very pleased to have it in my collection, and this was one of my most anticipated knife models of 2023. So I've had this in for probably going on a month and a half, 2 months, give or take. So this is a very well overdue review. Before we get into the review though, you guys can see I kind of switched up my filming back to the original area that I was filming a lot in here in our apartment. My wife got an extra lamp, so I'm able to have 2 lamps, which is more light. That's the only reason I wasn't filming in this room a lot, because there's only one window and it's over here in like a little kind of like cubby hole area. And surprisingly enough, and weirdly enough, our apartment that we live in does not have overhead lights. So this is the spare bedroom. It does not have an overhead light, and our bedroom does not have an overhead light either, which is kind of weird. We did not notice that until we moved in, which I was very, very like who doesn't put overhead lights and fans in houses nowadays or apartments? So that's just a random kind of side note, but I do have 2 lamps here, so I'm probably going to start doing more and more content in the guest bedroom here, because I am sitting at a desk and I can just kind of keep everything set up instead of, weirdly enough, I would set you guys up on my bed and use my closet as the background, because in our bedroom we have a whole row of windows so I can get more natural light. But I think this looks pretty good. You guys saw me with a haircut last week, just shaved today, so I'm freshly shaven. I didn't want to have my shaggy kind of beard for Christmas time, but I digress. We're talking here about the Artisan Knives Satyr. You can see my eye through there. What's up, guys? But yeah, this was one of my most, if not the most anticipated knife for me for 2023. This is a Chris Ortiz design over at Cerberus Knives on Instagram and his website, which I will leave linked down below. He has designed a few other ones, but he is primarily known for, he does his own custom fixed blades, and he does a lot of Spyderco scales, like Shaman scales, Para 3 scales, Para 2 scale, or PM2 scales. A lot of different micartas with cool variations of milling on them. A lot of cool work. I've never handled any of his stuff before, but I really like his fixed blades, and maybe in the future I'd like to get one of them because they just look really good. But he has the Artisan Cutlery Arian and a couple other ones, which I've liked before in the past. But I've seen him kind of teasing this on his Instagram for the past year, and this is an updated version of it, obviously now the production version. But the prototype had a front flipper that Chris decided to just kind of go away with, and I really like the finished product here. I think you get a lot for the price. Everything is just really nicely done, and honestly, everything I've handled from Artisan before has that really high quality feeling to it. I've never been really disappointed with them. CGRB, kind of, they've gotten better over the course of the last couple of years with their budget stuff, but Artisan as a whole, I've been really impressed with, basically everything I've gotten from them or checked out from them. And this knife still is in stock on the website, which I will also leave a link to that in the description down below. It went out of stock for a while after it, like the first wave of them kind of got bought through, and they did I was going to say initial dropping, but after the initial drop, they had a little bit of a time and then they restocked, and they're currently available on the website. So definitely go check that out down below. But we're going to dive right into materials. You guys can see that this is a titanium frame lock knife with a milled titanium pot clip that is righty only carry. I don't know if my phone's going to pick up on this, but this has some excellent micro milling on it. Trying to get the light's good enough, but it could be better, so I do apologize about that. Just a real simple and clean design. Right there it says Artisan Cutlery, if you guys can read that. Hole for deployment. The detent is tuned very, very nicely on this. You have an S90V blade, which says right there, along with the model number, I believe, and that is Chris's logo, which looks like I think it's a dog in a triangle, which I really like. It's very cool. Then over here you have the Artisan Cutlery logo. So a very minimalistic kind of blade, you know, very clean. What's the other word I'm looking at? Sterile looking blade. And then again, you have that micro milling, backspacer. It's a very thin knife. I knew it was going to be thin, but that's kind of the first sort of thing that I noticed when I unboxed it and handled it for the first time, was just how thin it was. But yeah, S90V with this, I call it a drop point. Comes down to a nice thin edge. And you guys can see the blade finish has a nice kind of mirror polish to it. Some specs on this. So you have a 3.35 inch blade, which is very, very nice. Right in the wheelhouse of stuff and, you know, blade sizes that I like. Blade thickness, 1.3 inches. So this blade finish is technically called a sand polish. I'm not super familiar with, you know, what that is, but it does take fingerprints very well, or very easily, so you want to be wiping this off a lot. But I don't have too many other mirror polish blades, if any at all, so I really think that is nicely done. Yeah, it's technically a drop point. Titanium, obviously, frame lock, and this comes in at 3.85 ounces, which I think is very, very good for a titanium frame lock. And you do have no milling, which also kind of surprised me. Obviously, you have a little bit of micro milling, which takes a tiny bit of material out, but on the inside, you have no milling at all. So yeah, there's only one variation of this available right now. Just the plain tie version. He did show some fully blacked out versions. I don't know if that's going to be something they're planning on doing in the future. But, you know, I think they're doing really, really well with this specific model. So it would not surprise me at all if they come out with some fat carbon versions or some micarta versions with maybe some inlays. I really would like to see some different stuff with this, because I just really think the model is that good. And yeah, so next we're going to move on to action. And like I said, hole for deployment. So you're pretty, you know, I don't want to say limited, but you have no flipper tab, no front flipper. But that makes for a very good thumb flick. Flies right out of there. Now it does take a little bit of time to get used to kind of the hole placement and where you need your thumb to be. But once you get used to it, once you fidget with it a lot, it definitely is much, much easier. But the real star of the show is the middle finger flick. It just flies right out of there. You can also do your index finger flick. It has a very special acoustic to it, in my opinion. It's very, very sort of common with artisan knives. It's almost like it's running on like a piece of strip of something. I don't know how to describe it, but it definitely has like that underlying tone when it flies out of there. But the detent is really nice, very snappy. You guys can see closing, drops to your nail, micro shakes home, drops to your nail, one shake and you're home. Very, very smooth. I did take this knife apart and clean it up because it did come with a lot of oil and gunk from the factory and for me carrying it. So after a while, the blade was a little bit loose, so I figured, screw it. We're going to take it apart, clean it up, lube it up, and this thing is locked up super, super tight, and you're still getting that just awesome, you know, very, very smooth action. Not a guillotine by any means. I mean, if you drop it to your nail, you guys can see I'm moving the knife and it's not really doing anything. So it's definitely a shaker, but I honestly tend to prefer knives like this more than guillotines, you know, all around in the long run. Guillotines are fun, but I definitely tend to prefer having more of these nice and just smooth, short, sort of drop shakers in the collection, but just very, very smooth, very nice. Action is very, very good on the Satyr. So next up, we're going to talk about ergos. And ergos are very good too. Obviously, like I touched on, it's very, very thin, so you have that going for it. But it's kind of a taller knife, but it fits in the hand very, very well. So it's a pretty, you know, when you look at the design in general and as a whole, it's very, very sort of simple, which is good. You know, simple is always better in my opinion when it comes to most things. But you have pretty much a straight line the whole way back. It tapers off, and you have pretty much a straight line here until you dig into that finger groove. And then you do have sort of a finger choil a little bit that you can use, but I would definitely be careful because you are basically right on the edge of that blade or the edge. So I would recommend only doing that when you know you're going to be going through something very, very carefully, kind of slowly, because you do not want to slip up and, pull your finger up on the blade and cut yourself. But all 4 fingers on the knife very, very easily. It's very comfortable. That micro milling adds a little bit of texture and grip too, which is very nice as well. But pointer finger right in here, rest of my fingers follow suit. You have the milled titanium pot clip that is not much of a hot spot at all. You do have a little bit of a sharp edge right here that can cause, that's probably the worst part about the clip, because when you're wrapped around it like this, it's so close to the blade and it just kind of melts into the hand. But sometimes when you're holding the knife, your hand might dig into the corner of this clip a little bit, and it is a little, not a little pointy, it is pointy, and a little bit sharp, kind of scratch a little bit. So that's the only kind of downside I can talk about with ergos. But saber grip is very good, hammer grip is very good. You can, reverse grips are probably not the best. You can do a reverse hammer if you're going to be pulling through rope, stuff like that. But yeah, then when you choke up, like I said, you get better control on it. If you're going to be doing some, push cuts through cardboard, or if you're going to be very careful, you can definitely use this. But again, you just have to be aware of that blade edge right there. Pinch grip works really well with your thumb here, middle finger here, pointer finger up top here for slicing through things. But it's a drop point, so if you're going to be trying to cut labels out, you'd have to drop way up here. It's definitely doable, but not the most, I don't know what that was. Oh, I had a speaker on. I was listening to a podcast when I got home and showered after work, and I forgot to turn it off before this video. So hopefully the audio isn't messed up. I actually did not know that I was connected to the speaker. So hopefully it's not messed up, but I guess I'll know when I edit the video. But yeah, so ergos are very good on this knife. Very, very just simple, nice, clean handle. You can use that choil, but just be careful with it. So again, no complaints with the ergos. Next up is carry. And for a milled titanium pot clip, this goes pretty far, to the butt end of the knife. You have about this much sticking up out of your pocket, which is not bad at all. I think the pot clip looks very good from an aesthetic standpoint. Would have been nice to have a lefty clip, but it is what it is. So you drop it down in. You have nothing but nicely rounded and contoured edges. No sharpness or jimping or flipper tabs to worry about if you're going down beside the knife to get change. Medicine, chapstick, things like that. You have no risk of, when you come up out of your pocket with whatever you may have grabbed, of pulling this knife up with you. You guys know I love to just kind of add that in there. It's kind of a quirky little part of my reviews, but it's very, very realistic and very real life, because you're always digging in your pockets for things. At least I am, especially jeans weather. I'm always just dumping stuff in there. And I know a lot of people like to carry change and so on and so forth. So I think it's a nice little part of the review I like to do for you guys. I've only carried this in jeans because I did get it in the fall, so it hasn't really been shorts weather too much around here around this time of the year, but it carries super well in jeans. It's nice, it's lightweight, it's a pretty good size overall. I'd say this is a medium sized knife, but I've had no qualms about it. It really does carry well. You really, with the weight being sub 4 ounces, you can't really tell what's there. So, nothing really to write home about with the knife, but there's no complaints at all. It does everything I want it to do, and that's all I can really ask about it. So that leads me to my final category of price point and would I recommend this knife. So the price point on the Artisan Knives Satyr is $199. Now I was able to get mine with, I think it was a 10% code. If you sign up for their email list, you get a 10% code to use. So I did get mine for, I think, $180, which was nice. I saved a little bit of moolah. But I think everything you're getting in this knife for sub $200 is absolutely worth it, guys. I cannot stress that enough. I think this is a fantastic value. I mean, you're getting beautifully milled titanium scales with a frame lock, a nice milled titanium pot clip, snappy action, great close. I mean, it's a fun knife to fidget with. A very interesting blade finish with that sand polish, S90V, a very usable blade. Just a very good knife in general. I think Chris killed the design on this, and I think Artisan killed the manufacturing and the production of this knife. And I cannot wait to see what they come out with in the future. I could think maybe with how good this is, maybe make like a budget version. with some micarta, like not 14C because I don't use 14C, ARPM 9, or some more premium versions with maybe some micarta inlays or some fat carbon inlays. I think that those would sell like hotcakes. I really think that this has been a popular model for Artisan since it came out. I couldn't be happier for them. I couldn't be happier for Chris. I've chatted with him a little bit on Instagram here and there, specifically about this model, and he just seems like a really good dude, and I like all of his stuff that he's doing. So again, this will be linked down below in the description, artisancutlery.net. If you guys are interested, definitely go check that out. And Chris's Instagram and Chris's website will be linked down below as well. Please go check out his stuff. I know Cutlery Shop has his stuff. River's Edge Cutlery, he always has stuff, sort of exclusives with them. He's very, up and coming, and I think he has a lot of good things going for him. So, but yeah, can't recommend this knife enough, guys. If you are interested and you like the design of it, go pick one of these up before they sell out again. I really, I can't say enough good things about it. I love it. And this is definitely one of my best acquisitions of 2023 for sure. So, but I'm going to wrap this up now. I think I was able to give you guys a good impersonation, a good impression of my thoughts and my opinions on the Satyr. Fantastic knife. But let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on it? Have you handled one? Is it on your list? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, so I'm going to wrap this up now, but thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, day, evening, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.